of a global giving movement, 365 Give, Jacqueline Way is love in action. What started as a commitment to do one give every day with her son became a mission to inspire the world to do that same thing. 365 Give teaches, inspires, and empowers people to give, creating a happier and more compassionate world 365 days a year.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline Way, for joining me here today, sharing this time in this space and AwareNow. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be with everyone and excited for this conversation. I think it's one that's going to truly make a difference, not only to our listeners today, but to the world.
I agree. So let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start.
We can start with a song.
Everything's better when it starts with a song. The song and the story that started 365 Give. How did this all begin?
Well, there's lots of ways I can start this story, and I can do the elevator pitch. But with you, I'm going to start the story a little bit different than I start with most people. And the story actually starts with a beautiful little boy who, at 11 weeks old, I had the honor of adopting. And the story really starts with him because he's the inspiration for 365 Give. And I am the blessed mom of 3 beautiful adopted boys. And my very first, Nick, truly inspired me. When I looked out into the world and he came into our lives at just as a baby, I looked out into the world and said, wow, what am I bringing this child into? And how can I make it a better place for him? How can I make it a better place for my grandchildren one day, if that's an option? And for all the children in our world, generations to come. I wanted to make sure that I did my part, and I'm not a millionaire or billionaire. I don't have gobs of money that I can, change the whole world at once. I can't, feed every child on the planet or give everyone running water, but I thought, what is it we could do? And how could I intertwine this into a lesson for my son at the same time? I had remarkable parents that taught me the lessons of being a good global citizen, doing our part, doing the little things every day. And I thought, how can I bring that into my own son's life? So at the ripe old age of 3, because what we know about children's brains is what they learn before they're 5 is what they truly carry forward through their lives. This is part of the brain programming that happens, and there's no time in a human being's life with more brain growth and development is between those ages of 0 and 7. So I thought, this is a good time before he starts school, before he goes to preschool. How could I teach my son to be kind and compassionate and a loving little human being? And so we started a personal parenting project, and literally on his 3rd birthday, we decided together we were going to do one small act of giving every day for 365 days. And the reason our charitable organization is called 365 Give. And at the time, this goes back a few years ago now, blogging was the thing. It was the thing the people did, before we had our fancy websites and all of the other social platforms that today rule the world. There was Twitter and there was Facebook, but that was it. And I wasn't on either platform at the time. But I thought, what better way to share our stories with people, and just with the hope that if I could inspire one other person along the way to give, then we are starting to create this little ripple effect of giving and showing people that giving is possible for everyone. So I started a blog. Obviously, Nick was not writing quite at that age yet. And with every small act of giving that we did, I did a blog post about it. We shared them on Twitter and Facebook. And in a very short period of time, people started reading our blog and started engaging with us on Facebook and Twitter. And before we knew it, we had this beautiful global community that was giving right along with us because they were inspired by this beautiful little boy that I got to bring home when he was just 11 weeks old. And to this day, Nick is now literally turning 16 in 2 weeks, not even that, 9 days. This little man has now inspired a global giving movement that's literally changing the world.
That is a beautiful story and a beautiful beginning for the beautiful work that you do 365 days a year.
And still do.
and still do.
Still do. All these years later, I still do it every day of the year.
This is so amazing. So on this journey that you've been on, what are some of the key lessons lessons that you've learned from your experience with 365 Give that you believe can benefit others who are interested, who want to do more, who want to create positive social impact? What can you share in terms of a lesson learned?
You know, these lessons have snuck up on me in many areas of my life, but these are the key lessons, and it's what we teach at 365 Give Now. We always thought that part of what we did was just teaching about giving, inspiring people to give, giving ideas. You know, we've brought it into schools, all of those things, but really a big part of what we do is not only just the giving back, but the why to do it, the benefit that it has, not just to the world around us, which is obvious, but the benefits that it has for us. And this is the part I didn't really understand until a number of years that we got into it. And so it's what we call your daily dose of happiness. And it's not only happiness, but a big part of this is love, which I want to share with everybody today. So dose for me stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and your endorphins. So the really neat thing about giving, no matter how small it is, you don't have to give tons of money, you don't have to volunteer thousands of hours of time, but every day you can get this little hit of happiness every time you give. So great example, today's World Gratitude Today. So the first thing, World Gratitude Day today, the first thing that I did is I texted 3 friends this morning how grateful I was for them and people in my life. So when I did that, that is a small way for me to give back to the world as soon as I wake up in the morning. And along with that, I get this hit of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. It's our body's natural way to give us this feeling of high, happiness, love, energy that comes into our body. And it absolutely fascinates me that our bodies literally are built for giving, that our bodies feel better, we're happier, we're healthier, our mental health is better, it reduces anxiety, it reduces stress, it reduces that chemical that runs through our body called cortisol that makes us sick. And reduces our immune system. So all of these phenomenal, natural, healthy remedies happen in our body when we give, which I always think is absolutely amazing that we were literally built to be of service. And the other part I like to share with everyone as well is, you know, we had talked about this earlier, is that giving is love in action. So oxytocin is one of the major chemicals that fires when we give. And I want everybody to think of putting love into the action, or putting love into action into our world. And I truly believe that our true nature is love. When we're born, when we're babies, I mean, we're just pure love. We're not born scared. We're not born with, anxiety and stress. We're literally born as little bundles of love. And that's what we can do every day to come back to that true nature of who we are, is we can put love into action every day. And it benefits ourselves. It will benefit your family. It will benefit everyone you touch, because now you're love in action in the world. You're being your true nature. And that benefits the world and everybody around us.
Those are some pretty incredible lessons.
Those are pretty incredible lessons. So, when I wake up a little cranky or on the wrong side of the bed, that's how I start the day, knowing that I can actually go out and just be love in the world. It's a different way to look at the day, and a different perspective, and a different way of literally being in our world. And imagine if everyone did it. I know you are. That's who you show up as every day. It's your true nature. But imagine a whole world of people who were doing that every day. Yeah. We'd have a completely different world we were living in.
And I love that you say that you don't have to be a millionaire. It doesn't have to be thousands of hours that it's just how you show up. And
intentionally, right? Yeah. It's like an intentional, I think that's the big thing that I learned through giving every day, 365 days. It becomes an intentional, mindful, emotionally smart practice that we can do every day. We say it's so simple, a 3-year-old can do it. It's a daily habit like brushing your teeth. But the benefits that you receive, and then everyone you touch every day in your life, the average person over the course of their life touches anywhere from 30,000 to 150,000 people. But what we now know on social media is that reach can literally be millions for so many people. And if you're showing up happy, you're showing up as love, you're showing up to benefit the world around you and everyone you touch, we all have this amazing ability to literally touch millions of people in our lives over the course of our lifetime.
And how infectious that is, right? That love and that generosity. So In your view, what role, I want to get a little technical for a minute because I love the science that you were sharing just now. So let's talk tech. In your view, what role does technology and social media, like you just mentioned, play into amplifying the message of 365 Give and connecting like-minded individuals, organizations? Where does tech come into play?
Well, first of all, and I always like to remind people, you have this beautiful little gadget in your hands that follows your every move. It listens to your conversations, as we know, and it creates an algorithm for you in everything that you open up on your phone. So I want everybody to think of their life as an algorithm, and that we're creating this algorithm with everything that we put out. So if you go into your Instagram or your TikTok or your YouTube, you can go and look at the content that's there, and you know exactly what you're creating in your life every day by what you watch, what you're saying, how your phone's listening to you, and what it keeps giving you more of. Well, when you start making this habit, this daily giving habit of giving, and listen, I use social media to do my daily giving every day because I make sure that I'm putting something out on social every day that's feeding positivity, that's feeding giving out into the world, that's feeding love out into the world. And so it amplifies for me in my life and has created an algorithm for me in my life, not just through my phone, but through everything that I use, is that more of that shows up for me. And so when we want to take a look at our lives and say, what's going on, take a look at who you're surrounded with in your life, in your own real life, not just your phone life, but who are you surrounding yourself with in your own life? What do those people look like? What does your family look like? What do experiences look like that are showing up for you? And also go into your phone and say, hey, what am I creating? What's coming up? When you start to create this mindful shift and this practice, this intention of showing up as a giving, loving, compassionate human being, the algorithm of your life completely changes too. So that the tech on your phone will start showing you different things because more positive things will come up for you. And then the algorithm in your outside world will also start changing, because what we know is what we put out to the world, we get back. So everything will start to change in that algorithm that we've created in our own lives.
That just like mind blown a little bit there, because I've never really thought of my life as an algorithm, but it only makes perfect sense.
It does.
Wow.
What are you looking at? How are you viewing the world? What's the action you're putting out? When you put the energy of love and compassion out into the world, it's what you attract. It's what you bring back, right? That's science. That's not me making up woo-woo. That's science. It's what we know about the energetic fields of the world, right? And how it works. And it's the same thing with everything we do in our life. If you're happier, if you're healthier, if your stress is reduced, how does that affect everyone around you? Your family, who you're going to school with, the friendships that you're making, how does it affect all of those things? It changes everything, literally.
No, it's such a good point. So let's talk for a moment about people who want to be part of what you're doing. Say, wow, this 365, how do I become part of that? Jacqueline sounds pretty amazing. I'm pretty excited about what she's doing. How can individuals, schools, organizations get involved with 365 Give and contribute, support your mission of making this world a better place through giving every day?
Well, the first thing is go to our website. We've just created a brand new website. As soon as you go to it, you're going to see love everywhere. It's all about love.
It's beautiful.
The new site. Well, it's so pretty. We're so excited about it. And we've made it really easy. I think the main thing that we want to do for everybody is we've made this as simple as possible. So you don't have to sign up. You don't have to be a member. You don't have to be anything. But all you need to do is just you're going to sign up to get the information in your inbox on a regular basis. And that's really what we're trying to do with people is, how do we feed you the information so you're empowered? We have teaching videos. We have a guide to get you started. And this is for schools. This is for families. And we are going to be there just to keep you going and get that habit going in your life. Because what we know about any new habit in your life, and for those of you that have tried exercises or you've been on diets, all of the things that we try in our life to kind of feed our soul and feed our wellness is their heart. And what you have to know is that it takes minimum for most people 66 days. It's not 21. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but to create a new habit. So we're going to be there for you. We'll send you daily ideas into your inbox just as that a reminder, whether it's the one for you that day or not. It's going to be that reminder of, oh, what could I do today? Oh, there's an idea I could do. We have an area you can share your stories of giving, and other people and already are sharing their stories of giving from all over the world. So we're creating a community, but really we're there to teach, we're there to inspire, and most of all, we're there to empower you, because what we know about giving and what science tells us is I can give you all the ideas that, you know, we have in our toolbox. We got literally thousands of them, but you need to empower yourself. And that's the big part that we do that's different than a lot of people, is you got to get out there and choose what works best for you. What works for me here in Canada is going to be very different than what works for somebody in Africa. What works for somebody in a very small rural community in India is going to be very different than what works for somebody in New York City. So we really have to take a look at our own lives and our own world. And when you're empowered and you choose how you're going to give, those benefits of happiness and mental health and well-being are only amplified. So we're like your support team. And as we roll out over the course of the year, we're going to start doing some webinars. We're going to start bringing our community together. But most of all, we're there to support your journey.
So since I have to ask, I know this is going to be probably the hardest question for you today.
No hard questions.
And a rich question. Since you started 365 Give all those years ago, Jacqueline, what has been your favorite give that you've done, and not the favorite, because how could there be the favorite, but a favorite that you've seen someone else do?
Let's see. You know, I think one of my favorites, and I happen to have a picture of it. There was a young woman, late teens probably, and this was a few years ago, and we were in downtown Vancouver. I was down there with my kids, and sometimes we'll just go down to feed the homeless on our streets. We have a very large homeless community here in Vancouver. Sometimes we'll just bring boxes of granola bars or whatever we can, and we'll go have some time with the homeless people down there. I've always done that with my children. And one day we were down there, and there was a young woman, and she was holding a sign called Free Hugs, and that's all it said was Free Hugs. And she was standing on the corner, one of the busiest corners of Vancouver, almost a little scary at times. You know, there's a lot of different people down there, but she stood there and people just kept coming up for that free hug. And that is probably one of my favorite things that I've witnessed, because when you see people hug, even if I took my free hug, I was all in there. I took my free hug, but even to watch people hug, that's such a huge one, that you get that oxytocin hit, that feeling of love, that chemical reaction in your body, just watching that. And the bravery and courage that it took for her to stand there with that sign was amazing for me, and a young person. And I think that's what inspires me the most, is this generation that's coming up now. They are so inspired. They are so fired and wired to stand with their feet planted hard in the ground and go, I want a different world. So I think that's one of the biggest ones that I've witnessed when I witness it. And my favorite one to do, that's a tough one. Let's see. I think, one of the things, and this is going to sound funny, but it changed my world so much, which effectively changed so many, is it's going to sound a little odd, but a number of years ago now, I did a TED Talk. And what most people don't realize is that's all volunteer hours. And you don't get paid to do it. You choose to do it, it's a volunteer gig, literally. And I spent hundreds of hours, and it put me on my knees at times in being scared and in fear and not being able to find the words. But that experience and doing that and spending my time, because my sole mission to do that talk was specifically to spread this message. So I was doing it not for any benefit for myself or to make money or anything else. I was doing it to spread the message of giving. And that experience changed my world personally, because I had to step through so many fears and step over so many limiting beliefs. And then that gave me the ability to take 365 Give Global. So that's probably, to me, my most valuable life lesson in volunteering time and energy, to really go out and do what you want to do in the world to create change. because that's been one of the biggest impacts I've been able to make.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline, for sharing these stories, for sharing with the world what you do through 365 Give, and that open, it's like an open love letter to the world, an invitation to be part of something so beautiful that to not only help so many, but to help ourselves, because that's important too.
Yeah, it is. Well, it all starts with us, right? If we're not full here and our cup's not full, it's really hard to give, right? And so that's, for me, is when we make this a practice, we know we're filling our cup in the best way that we can. And when our cup overfloweth, that's when it comes, no expectation of anything in return. We can just flow it out to the world. And that's my intention every day. And I hope to help other people fill their own cup so that they can flow that out to the world as well.
Well, thank you so much for the way that you live to give, the way that you show up every day and every night. And thank you for helping all of us just become a bit more aware now. Thank you so much.
Namaste, my friends.
Namaste.